was the saddle-making capital of the world. And it wasn't just luck that brought this about. It was Pueblo's prime location at the time, near the railroads and also near the frontier trails to the west. Some of the greatest names in saddle making were from and or worked out of Pueblo. Samuel C. Gallup opened the S.C. Gallup Saddlery in the late 1800s. Mr. Gallup was known to be the creator of what was called the Pueblo saddle. It was specially created to work in the rough terrain around here and also be safer for the rider. Pueblo saddles sold far and wide, from Dodge City, Kansas to Raton, New Mexico, even Havana, Cuba. Robert T. Frazier worked alongside and learned from Mr. Gallup. The two men were in business together for a few years until Mr. Frazier and his wife Kitty opened the R.T. Frazier Saddle Company a little farther down on West 2nd Street. Many hands went into the creation of the Frazier saddles. Kitty even made her mark by creating hand quilting for the ladies' saddles. These saddles were displayed in their shop along with bridles and blankets and all kinds of wonderful riding equipment. They even had mail order, which was very new at the time. It was at this location that the first display horse made its grand debut. The Fraziers displayed their finest wares atop a painted horse that was made from a wooden frame and a papier-mâché body. There it stood, right there in their sales room, showing off these beautiful handcrafted saddles. Well, the saddle-making business was a very lucky one for several years, but nobody had any luck with the flood of 1921. The waters came rushing down the Arkansas and Fountain rivers, pummeling the town. At one point, from the Union Depot to 1st and Main Streets, the floodwaters rose to almost 15 feet. Well, needless to say, none of the stores in the area were safe from the flood. The waters came rushing through, carrying goods and supplies, along with the torrents, smashing windows, smashing shop doors. Mr. Gallup received some aid to try to recover, and although his son took over the business until about the 1930s, Mr. Gallup did not live long enough to be able to see the business continue. Mr. Frazier also suffered some devastation in the flood. When he came down to assess the damages, what he saw was that his goods and his supplies had either been destroyed or washed away. And the display horse, the papier-mâché horse, was gone too. How ill-fated these saddle makers must have felt to see all that they had built just lost. Well, maybe not all. As they were cleaning up the streets here in town and beyond, about 14 miles down the Arkansas River toward Avondale, a farmer saw something a little bit strange up in a tree. There it was, the horse, lodged up in the branches of a cottonwood tree. Well, they brought it down. It hadn't suffered very much damage. They brought it back to town, made the necessary repairs, and once again it was ready to display saddles. Shortly after the flood, a fellow named Fred McConnell opened Mack's Saddlery. Mack's Saddlery was displayed. He had worked with Mr. Gallup and Mr. Frazier, so he knew the business pretty well. Mr. Gallup's saddles sold worldwide, from Japan to Australia, Spain to Mexico. They even serviced Al Capone and Gene Autry. And it was there in the front window of Mack's Saddlery that the papier-mâché horse was able to find a new home. For years, the papier-mâché horse displayed the ever-changing saddles of the time in this safe environment. Well, luck may have started wearing a little thin when another event occurred. You see, Max Saddlery was located right next door to Anderson Carpets. And in 1989, a fire broke out in the carpet shop, and it quickly spread to Max Saddlery. The firefighters bravely fought the fire, but they couldn't control it. There was too much devastation. May have been luck, may have been quick thinking, may have been fate, may have been some people standing out on the sidewalk saying, "Save the horse! Save the horse!" The firefighters were able to see the outline of the horse in the smoke-filled window. They broke the glass, brought the horse out on the sidewalk, and once again, that papier-mâché horse escaped destruction. Well, after the fire, the carpet company was able to rebuild. Max Saddlery was not able to rebuild. And at that point, Max Saddlery became the oldest operating saddlery in Colorado. The McConnell family, the horse was in good shape. The McConnell family wanted to have it displayed somewhere. It was almost 100 years old. So for a few years, it lived in the basement of the Vail Hotel in the care of the Pueblo County Historical Society. Then in 2001, the Pueblo Heritage Museum was opened, and the horse was transferred there. And that's where you'll find it today. Now remember, the horse didn't have a name. So a contest was held to name the horse. And it was won by a young lady in the 3rd grade at the Goodnight Elementary School who named the horse Lucky Saddler because he was so lucky as to have survived not only the flood, but also the fire. Well, you know, for me, this is a lot more than luck. This story reminds me of the spirit and the resilience of the families that choose to make their homes and their lives here in Pueblo. I feel lucky to know Lucky Saddler. Thank you.
Thank you.